and welcome to yet another exciting episode of DigiMantra Unplugged. I'm your host Priyanka, and today we have Bikramjit Singh, Vice President of Product Development and Technology Services from DigiMantra. Through his leadership, he has steered the organization into new areas of innovation, culture, and technology. So, let's get started and hear what he has to say about the importance of UI UX in building SaaS products. So, my first question to you is, why UI UX is crucial for the success of SaaS products, and what role does it play according to you?
Okay, thank you Priyanka for having me on the podcast. As we say, like every product today is a SaaS product, right? Everybody wants a service as a software. So I think the crucial significance for user experience first, in my opinion, is customer satisfaction and retention. So when we say customer satisfaction, any product you will buy, the customer has to be satisfied, and it will only be successful unless the customer is with you.
Yeah.
So you really have to retain the customer. So I think investing in user experience really brings customer satisfaction and retention. Second, I would say, is the competitive advantage. So today, if you have one product, there are hundreds of competitive products you have in the market. So if you have a very good user experience, your customer retention will certainly grow. So that is based on the experience I have in the market. Third, I would say it will reduce your churn rate. So when your product is when your customers are onboarded to the product, they will only stick to the product if the product is good enough for them. I mean, if they see clunky design, or if they see a bottleneck, or if the clicks are not working, or if there are too many clicks. I think that is one area where dissatisfaction generally comes into play. So investing in good user experience will certainly help you to increase your customer satisfaction as well. I would say that the next, it is not the direct impact of user experience, but certainly when you have a very good experience, your customer support costs also go down. And that is for the reason because the product itself is very self-explanatory. You don't need a support, you don't need anybody to assist that. So investing in good user experience will certainly help you to lower down your support costs as well. And finally, I would say scalability and adaptability. The product you are creating today will not be here only for a very short while. You have to scale the product, and once you have that scalability metrics coming into the picture, a good user experience will always ensure that your product is carried forward in a very similar fashion. So I think scalability and adaptability is also one of the key area which can really help you with the with the user experience.
Okay, thank you, Vikram. I mean, yes, user experience surely plays a very big role in today's time. So this brings me to my next question, Bikram. What are some common challenges faced by designers while building SaaS products according to you? And how do you think they can overcome those challenges?
Right. I think that is probably one of the key area for any UX designer. One of the critical challenges we face every day is the complexity of features. So as your product grows, you have to add a lot of new features based on the feedback you have collected from the customers or the market you have seen. So that becomes really trivial because you just can't keep on adding features on top of each other. So we really have to ensure that even if you are adding features, it does not give a very complex kind of environment to the end user. The second challenge is basically consistency through different platforms. So today the applications are used on mobile devices, and there are hundreds of screen sizes available. Then you have devices like your palm top, your iPads. Then you have different set of screens. So as a UX designer, we have to ensure that all those platforms are addressed very correctly. So if you're looking at application on your phone versus on a screen, it should look very consistent.
Responsive.
So that is one challenge we have to really face. The third is basically again balancing the customization and complexity. So at the end of the day, we have to see what features are really addressing to the masses. So we have to ensure that we have a very perfect balance of complexity versus customization. So that is one area where we face that challenge. Fourth is onboarding and training. So when we say onboarding and training, so after a couple of iterations, we have to ensure that even if a new person is coming into the system, he also understands the system like the one who have already been using these systems. So onboarding and training, we have to be like very sure that you have to give different tool tips, small screens, onboarding cards. So there are different ways to do that, but we have to ensure that your first customer versus the customer who have already been using your system for last 3, 4, 5 iterations, they are actually on the same page.
Okay.
That is one area. Another area I think which is of very much importance is your data privacy and security. All these SaaS applications, they handle a lot of critical data, your passwords, your details, a lot of other details on both the back end and front end. So as a UX designer, we have to ensure that we educate our customer or we educate our users about all those privacies and settings. So we have to be very careful that we make them understand why these encryptions are required. So example is two-factor authentication. So that is just to ensure that you are doing these things this way. This is why we need it, and this will actually help them to ensure that their data is kept private and they don't get into any kind of issue. And finally, I would say user feedback and satisfaction is also one of the key challenge we face. So people demand everything. They will go through multiple applications and they'll say, oh, this is something which is very great in one application. So of course we collect feedback, we collect a lot of user feedback and suggestions, but we really have to ensure that what we are putting in the next iteration. So we have to ensure that we balance that request versus market needs in a very, very correct way.
Yeah, we have to take those feedbacks into consideration.
Yes, you have to ensure, because feedbacks are very valuable. If somebody is sharing a feedback, it is either based on a real-time pain point or something which they have actually seen in a competitive product. So we really want to ensure that everything is there. But again, coming back to balancing the complexity versus your market needs. Yeah. So we have to be very careful what need to be put where. Yeah. So I think these are some of the very key challenges we generally see every day in the market.
That's very insightful, Bikram. I think we have to take all these things into consideration while designing any SaaS-based product, right?
Absolutely.
Like you said that feedbacks are very important while building any SaaS-based product or any product for that matter. So what do you think what role does user research play in design process according to you? And do you think this will help us in making more informed decisions while building any such product?
Absolutely. I think, until unless the user research is not done properly, it is very hard to, build a product which will actually connect with the end users. Yeah. So I think the first point is basically to understand the needs of the end customer. So who will be using your product? Let's say you're designing a product for a kindergarten student, you have to really understand what is his or what is her likeliness. So what kind of colors they'll prefer, what kind of interactions they'll prefer. You can't make things very complex, because then that attention span will be very, very less, and you might end up losing a very good product because the user experience was very bad. So I think the first and the foremost role or the advantage of doing a user research, that you really need to understand the needs of your customer. Second, I would say you have to validate assumptions, and let's say if you're creating a product, you have to create multiple prototypes and test in the market with the real users. That will give you the real picture, and that research will really come handy. Third, I would say, once we start doing that, we have to create or we have to identify user personas. So what kind of people will be using your products? What will be their use cases? In what context they will use the application? What are their key areas? What things would they like to see in the application? So all those user personas need to be created before you create any successful SaaS products. Then based on those user personas, we have to map user journey as well. So let's say you have a persona, how that person is going to use our entire product or a platform in step-by-step way. So he'll come or he'll land on this particular page, he'll take this step. Eventually he'll take this step, and entire journey has to be mapped.
Navigate the whole.
Yes. So that is, and then finally, we have to work with a lot of iterations. We have to be very agile, as we say. We have to create iterative designs. So you have to collectively, based on your user research, you always have to update your designs, or you always have to iterate your designs, so that by the end of the cycle you have the perfect or near to perfect product. So it might happen that in the start we might have a different personas with us, or we might have a different requirement, but as you test your prototype, as you collect feedback from, as you do your user research, you find okay, these were some of the areas which you never thought in the first cycle. So we have to be very, very sure that whatever research we do, we collect that feedback, we synthesize that feedback, and then we finally implement that into our products as well. And there are a lot of techniques you can use to do that. One is a very common technique where we use one-on-one interviews. So we conduct interviews with our users. We understand their needs, we understand their pain points, the bottlenecks they had, and then we try to implement those into our products. If you really need a very quantitative kind of user research or feedback, then generally we run a survey or poll. So it goes to masses, you collect a lot of feedback, and then you synthesize that feedback.
Okay.
And finally you can do usability testing with prototypes. So there are ways where you can have A/B testing, there are code sorting techniques. So there are a lot of ways where you can collect user feedback, and I think that really helps any designer to put all those material into their next set of features.
This is a very interesting process. Like
Absolutely.
over the period of time, you'll get to know different kind of, different perspectives basically.
Absolutely.
And once you gather all that information in one place, I think you can come up with a very better product.
Priyanka, at the end of the day, it is the customer who has to use the application. I mean, we can have all the tech, but if it is not usable, it is of no use. So at the end of the day, a lot of times we have seen very good products, they are very good on tech, but our customers are not
happy or satisfied.
They are not the guys who have to code on that. At the end of the day, they just want a couple of clicks and their job to be done. So if I take them through a different or a very technical or a very trivial process, they lose the interest. And today the market is so saturated that if you want one product, there are hundreds available. So to retain the customer, you really have to ensure that the user experience is optimal.
That was very insightful, Bikram. So this brings me to my next question. As we have been hearing a lot about responsive design these days, so how do you think UX designers can approach this particular term for SaaS-based products? And what role does it play actually?
So Priyanka, when we talk about responsive design, I think there are a lot of small things which are involved into this. So when we say, I'll just take little back into the time. So when the applications came in 1970s or 80s, that is where computers came and into mainstream. So what happened was everything was primarily based on the desktop. So all the applications were desktop. Then eventually we saw palm tops, iPads, and then everything is basically on mobile. So the attention span has actually gone down very less. So most of the applications, most of the stuff you will interact with would be through a mobile application. So when we talk about responsive design, the first thing which comes into my mind is mobile responsive. So the UX designers, they generally start with mobile design first, and then they eventually go to the desktop or any other screen sizes. So because everything is accessible through mobile, whether it's your bank accounts or your any transactions or your emails, your presentations, everything is primarily
comes in handy.
It comes very handy. And any good application, if you see, you always have a mobile application available for them. So now any SaaS product, if you're planning to design, so the first approach is basically going through a mobile first approach. The second is basically something called a fluid layout. So what happens in fluid layout, that the transitions becomes very, very easy. So whether you are seeing an application or a smaller device or a bigger device, automatically the sizes, the animations, everything is very, very fluid. You don't see a distraction that all of a sudden, have a very small image on a device, and on the bigger one, it, changes very rapidly. So the transitions, the layouts have become very, very smooth. The third is something called the flexible grid system. So earlier we used to have a very fixed grid that, 3 column, 4 column, whatever you want to do. But now as you change, your screen size, or as you change the layout, everything goes very smooth. So, that flexibility has really come. Okay. So there is no hard rigid, like, we put it into a very pixel based kind of a, system. So whenever you are moving with the different screen sizes, based on the screen sizes, it will adapt. Okay. So, earlier it used to be, okay, for 14-inch monitor, 15-inch, 16-inch, now we have 17, 22, 24. So there's a huge variety. So based on the screen or based on the device you are looking, automatically it will be fluid enough to make sure that, you're getting the perfect resolution. The next I would say is, responsive images. That is something which is there. So now designers, what they're using formats which are very, very scalable. So you don't have to have, 3 different images. They're using, vector graphics like SVG formats, and based on again the screen sizes, the the pixelation or the sizes change, just to make sure that it is optimally fit into the system. So even if you have 3 devices in front of you, maybe a 6-inch phone, 9-inch pad, or a 21 or 24-inch screen, it will look exactly similar. And even if you change the settings, it will not jiggle around left and right. So that is something what is there. And then there is something called a progressive disclosure. So what happens, so let's say you have a bigger screen where you're putting everything on one single screen, and now you have a smaller screen to play around. So what happens in progressive disclosure is that things which are of utmost importance, they are shown first. So, and then you can actually go to the second layer or third layer, or a hidden menu which will give you, second priority or third priority details. So that is how, the designers are using these progressive disclosures. And finally, I think the last I would say is the cross device testing. So when you are, about to release, we have to make sure that we test it on multiple devices.
Okay.
So
that's very important.
So whether you are using an Android system or an iOS or, iPad or Android pads, or any different screen sizes. So we make sure that at the end, when it goes out in the market, the product, it should look very seamless. It should not, have different versions. So it should look exactly similar to what you're looking at, from one location to another location. So that is how, I would say responsive design is generally coming into play.
That was very descriptive, Bikram. And I think we have to take all these things into consideration before launching any product in the market.
These things certainly, make a huge impact. They are not very visible, but if you look at from the customer point of view, these small things really paint the picture right.
So how do you think that these UX designers can stay updated with the latest trends and technologies? I mean, as you know, that a lot of things are coming into the market, so we have to stay updated.
Absolutely.
So what do you think, how can they ensure that they stay relevant for SaaS products?
Yeah. So I'll say it is not only for, user experience. I think that goes across the industry. So whether you're a developer or a designer or a QA tester or content writer, you have to stay updated with the current trends. So I think the first would be like to engage yourself into continuous learning. So learning never stops. So read articles, read papers, read blogs, see what is coming into the market, what kind of trends are there, if there are any new guidelines, any design practices. So I think staying connected really helps you to be there updated. Second, I would say a lot of blogs, we see vlogs or blogs. Both can really help you to be very updated with the market. You can follow certain blogs, you can follow some certain influencers. There are a lot of industry leaders who have their own channels, who have their own vlogs, and I think subscribing to them can really help you to be up with the market. Online communities is another way where you can stay updated. So there are a lot of communities where
LinkedIn is a very good platform.
LinkedIn, absolutely.
People are posting such good stuff
yes.
on.
So LinkedIn is one of them. There are a lot of design communities. There are a lot of tech communities where you can see the contribution from other people also. So if somebody has really come up with something, and people are very happy to interact, they're very happy to share their knowledge. So I think connected with communities always help you. Networking is something which really helps you. So whether you're going for a conference or an event or a tech talk or anything, I think when you meet people in person, that really helps you to uplift yourself, learn new things, and that is how I think sharing really helps you to get more knowledge. And I think you can follow some thought leaders also. So I think with internet today, I mean, there's no dearth of finding any kind of content or any kind of inspiration you want. There are a lot of libraries, there are a lot of third party I would say communities which again which can really be helpful. And finally, I think trainings and workshops really help. So if you get a chance to attend a couple of trainings, or you get a chance to even conduct trainings, I think that will be really helpful, because learning it goes both sides. Even if you're if you're taking a workshop, or if you're training a session, the kind of questions we see from the participants, that really gives us a motivation to see, okay, how this question has come. Sometimes we also need to learn a lot of new things, and we do learn a lot of new things when we interact with our team members. So I think continuous learning is something which we should never let go. And whatever chance you get to learn, accept it with open hands.
Upskilling is the way forward.
Absolutely.
So, thank you, Bikram, for being with us today. It was quite an informative session, and I'm sure all these tips and techniques will surely help our designers in building a successful SaaS product. Thank you for watching our today's episode. I hope you enjoyed it as much as we loved putting it together. So stay tuned, and we'll be back with more such exciting and informative videos. And don't forget to like and subscribe to our channel.